Welcome to the Broken Phoenix podcast. I'm your host, Zach Allen. During this episode, a couple things I want to talk about are the purpose of this podcast, a little bit of background on myself and the origin of the name, and also what to expect from future episodes. I'm new to this style of talking, I guess. The last couple years, I've been going through some stuff in life, personal stuff. There's grief involved, there's trauma, and everything you can think of. I've had deaths in the family, going through a divorce, things like that. All happen within a small, short amount of time. So I wanted to put something together to find another purpose in life other than what I do for a profession. I sought therapy, and I've been in it ever since. It's helped a lot. And talking to my therapist, I decided I think I want to start a podcast and talk about a little bit about my journey and how I could potentially help other people. So, start off with the purpose of this podcast. The purpose is to help other males gain different perspective as it pertains to mental health and to dismiss any stigmas associated with it. I think we have a stigma still of you're a coward if you go to therapy. If you're not okay, then you're ousted. You're made to be less than. I'm here to tell you it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for help and talk to others. I think we have this little man up effect that people like to bestow upon males still. For example, whenever I talked to a friend of mine, that was another guy, whenever I started this divorce, he was like, "Oh man, sorry to hear about that. You'll figure it out though. You'll man up and handle your responsibilities." And I just thought, man, I get it, but what the hell does that mean? You know, just man up. Does that mean just bury your emotions and let it build up until it explodes and you have a huge emotional response to a situation and you make things worse? So that stuck with me a little bit. So I want you to know the man up effect. There's compartmentalization to it, I think. Yes, at times you need to quote unquote man up and deal with your emotions and maybe suppress them a little bit in certain moments. But then when you're out of high stress situations, revisit those emotions and process them. It's okay to seek therapy. Like I said earlier, I've been put through the ringer these past 2.5, 3 years. A lot has changed in my life. Again, going through a divorce. I've been traumatized by other things in life. I lost my grandmother while starting the process of this divorce a year ago. A couple months later, I almost lost my father. And it was just back to back building up. And I stayed with therapy the entire time. And it helped save my life for sure. So I want people to know that it's okay. It's all right to go seek therapy, especially again, males. And if there's any female listeners, this isn't a bashing podcast or anything like that. Again, it's just speaking from my mindset as a male and how we respond to certain situations. But it's okay to seek therapy and seek help. We can't go through this alone. A lot of stuff we can't go through alone. We can, quote unquote, man up, but there's just some situations that we need people in our corner. So that's the overall purpose of this podcast. I just want people to know, other guys that are experiencing similar things or maybe even more stressful things, maybe deeper things than what I'm experiencing. Hopefully, these different perspectives over time, over next couple episodes, help you out. let's talk about the background of my story here a little bit. I was born and raised in a small town in Pennsylvania, and blue collar town. I have a bachelor's degree from Lock Haven University, and I have a master's degree from Michigan State. Throughout this all, I married my high school sweetheart. We ended up having three beautiful children together when it was all said and done. Life came at me with some trauma, you know, at a young age. Car accidents, drugs, drug busts, suicides, other trauma, divorce, trauma associated with that, death or near death during that, medical issues with my children, all that stuff. So it's nothing out of the norm for what a lot of other people are experiencing. Some trauma I'll give more detail, and there's other trauma that just is going to stay with me. But that's just a quick highlight of my background, where I'm coming from. By no means am I an expert at all in this field. I do like to joke around with people and tell them that I have a PhD in trauma. So I can sort of pick up the signs if somebody's feeling a certain way and just ask them if they need to talk. They want a listening ear, vent, any feedback from me. So moving on, talk about the origin of the name. As all this trauma was piling on about a year ago, I started journaling. A close friend of mine bought me this book called Burn After Writing, and it asks you a bunch of prompt questions to further the discussion. You have to answer, for example, one question is, at what age do you feel you became an adult? And I put 11 years old. And that's, again, just some stuff that's happened to me at a young age that I had to overcome. And that's when I felt like I became an adult. I had to step up and take care of people. Around that age, I had some back-to-back trauma happen as well. My oldest brother got in a car accident. He's paralyzed from the middle of the chest down. My uncle committed suicide. My dad got in a car accident, broke his neck. Thankfully, he's okay with everything. And my other brother got in a car accident. There were two other people in the car. He was the only survivor, but he had to have extensive knee surgery on both knees. So I had to step up from 11 to about 14, 15 years old. That all that happened in that span. Furthermore, in that journal, another question was, if you could name your autobiography, what would it be? At first, I'm pretty cynical and sarcastic. You'll find me joking around in these podcasts a little bit. If I offend you, I don't care, to be honest. Um, it's just the way I deal with the trauma. And you got to laugh through the bullshit, or you're just going to cry and succumb to it and stay in the deep end forever. And I'm unwilling to do that. But I started to come up with, Crazy Train and, Train Wreck, things like that. And then I thought to myself, no, I want to take this one a little serious. So I came up with the name Broken Phoenix. I didn't like it at first. I was like, broken, I don't want people to think that I'm broken, I'm never going to heal again. And, it sort of has a negative connotation to it. But I looked up synonyms for it and I'm like, oh, they sound even more harsh. So I think I'm going to stick with broken. I like it actually now that it's grown on me. I kept saying it and repeating it. I'm like, you know what? I actually like it. I chose broken as in there will be many dragons that you'll have to slay throughout your life. And some might break you, but that's where the phoenix comes back in. Once you're reduced to ashes, you're going to rise from those ashes and you're going to continue slaying dragons. And then I had a friend tell me about the Japanese art of kintsugi. I hope I'm saying that right. It's where you mend pottery, broken pottery pieces, with gold or gold leaf. When you do that, it's supposed to highlight your imperfections and let them know that they're worth viewing. You can look back on something that broke you, and you may have metaphorical scars, but you can heal with this concept of kintsugi. And obviously, Phoenix rise from the ashes and fight after you've been broken. So that's where I came up with the name. I liked it. I ran it by my therapist. She liked it as well. She had the same reservations as well with the broken part of it. But so you know what? This one's for me, man. And again, I hope I can help people with this podcast. But the start of this is about me and finding another purpose and keeping me moving along and slaying dragons and continue to push on throughout this whole process. What to expect from future episodes? I want to try and help people, as many people as possible, with this. I ran this idea by a buddy of mine about a year ago. We sat up till about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and he said, "You need to start this. You need to do this." And he's like, "Why do you want to do this?" And I said, "Purely to help people. I mean, selfishly to put some of my stuff out there and talk through my stuff, but also to give other people perspectives on what helped me. And then if it helps one person, it's worth it to me. It's not about money or anything like that." What to expect from some episodes here? I mean, as we get into this thing, there's probably going to be some topics that are a little uncomfortable for people. I guess we throw out some trigger warnings there. You know, talk about things like suicide and stuff associated with that. Talk about abuse, all sorts of things. And if that makes you uncomfortable, you don't have to listen. That's totally fine. But I don't think we need to keep stigmatizing it. I think could be something you could still talk about and still be a man, an alpha male, if you will. Expect me to be sarcastic at times, like I said earlier, laugh at my pain. Everybody process is different, and I'm going to crack some jokes. I might use some swear words here or there. And if that offends you, so be it. I don't know what to tell you. I'll try my best not to, but I'm going to try and make this as light as possible as well. Because I don't want it to be just like people coming to this podcast and being like, "Oh, this just feels like therapy. How are you feeling? How did that make you feel?" Things like that. No, got to try and make light of the situation. We're going to go to the deep end and we're going to get back out throughout each episode and lighten it up for sure. Eventually, I want to start to interview some other males out there that are going through the suck, that are slaying dragons, that are surfing deep ass waves, gain their perspective and show many others are struggling as well. It's not just you out there, it's other males. And we're still keeping silent and just going through the motions. Like I have this one friend, he's been irritable lately more than normal. And he finally confessed to me that, you know, he's about to lose somebody close to him and it's really stressing him out. And he talked to me a little bit, just a little bit, didn't divulge a whole lot. And you could see his demeanor and his body language change just in that little bit of shit he got off his chest right there. And that's what it's about, man. So I eventually want to interview some other people, and you be average Joes, it doesn't matter to me. Professional athlete, I don't care. Just want to put it out there that you're not alone. You need people in your life to help you through it. So that's what to expect. Hopefully, gain a bunch of listeners, and this helps a bunch of people out in the future, and I can continue rolling with this. In conclusion, I want to start a segment with each episode that I do where I end it with the Phoenix perspective. This one is the what ifs of life, meaning what if this would have happened? What if I would have done this different or better? What if this happens? I went through a lot of these while experiencing all of this trauma. I was like, what if I would have been a better husband? What if I would have shown more emotion? What if this happens in the future? Like, if she goes somewhere, how's she going to handle this situation? Things like that. I created all these problems that either already happened and I could do nothing about it, or I thought or assumed was going to happen, and you guessed it, like a jackass, nothing could happen. I couldn't do anything about it, and it didn't even exist. So I learned to be present in the moment. Think about what's right in front of you today, right now. You can't change the past and don't create problems in the future that don't exist. You know, the what if this happens. You can control the present, and that's where you are right now. Take a look at what's right in front of you. The past already happened. You can't do anything about it. And it's okay. It's okay to make the mistakes. And don't worry about the future, because that's going to drive you just as nuts. I'm caught in there right now, in this present moment. It's tough. How are my kids going to handle this divorce in the future, moving forward? What if I never trust again? What if, I never find anybody? Things like that. That's all stuff that I can't even control and isn't even a problem right now. But we tend to make it a problem when we start doing the what ifs. So I even still get caught in the what ifs at times, and then I check myself. I'm like, no more. We're right now, right here. What's in front of you? We're alive right now. So that's the Phoenix perspective for this episode. This this is it. As raw as we're gonna get with this. Again, I hope to continue episodes moving forward. I want to look up statistics on stuff with mental health with males, and we'll highlight some of that throughout the upcoming episodes too. I hope you guys tune in future episodes. This is just a launch, only the beginning. Hope you follow me through this journey. I'll sign off with this. Forget the naysayers, stay in the fight, and never ever give up. Have the day you deserve.